Thanks for watching this far, guys. If you watched any other parts and you have questions, just message me or talk to me in class. I'd be more than happy to help you out with it. I like to close by just showing a very realistic expectation of when you're starting what's going to happen. When you get really good at this, as soon as someone takes you down and you close your guard around them, you're immediately going to turn your hips and get into Williams. But until that, the reality is that this is going to hurt and it's going to suck. So what I'm going to show you is really the number, like 1 or 2 things that you need to focus on before you even get to all the fancy stuff, okay? So we're here, and I have Timmy in my closed guard, right? Now, when you're entering Williams, the most important thing is turning your hips, and it's getting to what we call like a crooked guard, which is basically just I'm postured on my side. I'm not here breaking people down like this, because this, when people talk about closed guard and NoGi here, this doesn't exist. I don't have any grips to hold them down, no cross lapel grips to start setting up chokes to get them to move. Timmy knows what I can and can't do, and it's not a lot from here in NoGi, right? So as soon as these hands hit the mat, right, I use actually this knee to control them. So we talked about the steering wheel grip. That's the first thing. You can't turn the car like this and get this over here because it feels uncomfortable with my shoulders on the mat. So what do you have to do? You have to move your butt. So my hips, watch. I open my guard and think of it just like a scissor sweep, okay? Don't think of it as a shrimp or something else. Think of it like how you'd have to set up a scissor sweep. And if I was scissor sweeping Timmy, my hips would be here and my knees would be like this, right? The only thing that changes is my knee goes from the inside to the outside, okay? But the hips are the most important thing. So he leaves his hands on the mat to really help me out. But watch, as soon as I'm here, steering wheel, but watch my left hip. It comes out. And you need to create a little bit of distance between your hips and his. If you're locked in here and you try to go into crooked guard, you just can't, okay? Because it's controlling your whole body. When I do this, my hips come out a little bit, and my knee hits the mat. So this right knee here is on the deck, and I can only do that if this hip is facing this way. If it's facing this way, you see how this knee turns? Yep, and then when my knee turns, Timmy can control my hips because he can control the outside of my knee, right? So, back a little bit. So I'm here, I turn, my butt is away, but there's all this space between me and Timmy. And you don't have to worry about that because Timmy will close the distance later. I get my knee up, and you can see my hip here is what you're going to notice the most. That's where you want to be. Let's go around the side. Hand positioning, right? So that's the number 1 thing. Hips come out, okay? Hand positioning. I keep saying steering wheel in every video. I'm sure other people have said, but this is what I tend to say the most in class. My hands have to go over here because you're not just going to get here, here, and here, and it's all gravy, right? It's never going to happen. Your first position should always be controlling the neck posture. And we talked about this, opposed to what might feel more natural, which is this, which is because then you can grab. I don't want you to grab. It's here. There's going to be no grip, okay? Your palm should be facing down. Your elbow hits the mat. The other steering wheel motion, okay, if you're in a 10-2, is I'm controlling the wrist, right? My knee picks his shoulder up. And then once you're here, this is my motion. I have a second to think because Timmy's not going to be able to sit up right away, okay? I come up here, I pitch in and down. And then the next move Timmy's immediately going to do is going to be with his, see how his legs come in? And as soon as he does that, that's when my foot comes in here. So the reality is I won't be on my side a lot. I'll be here with one shoulder on the mat. If both shoulders are on the mat, you're in a bad position. One shoulder is on the mat. And then what we talked about constantly is watch. Foot on the hip, pinching the knees, and how do I get him back to where I want? Watch Timmy's reaction. Knees squeeze. I'm going to extend out and down. Not just down because this doesn't do anything. Create distance between your hips and his. Extend. And then flare your knee down. And then Timmy's reaction is he wants to get back. And as soon as he gets back, then I do another step. You see my foot's come here? And then I extend again and keep going. And then he keeps trying to bring his hand in here. Go ahead. Yep. And then we can start working our motion. So that's the reality. That's what's going to happen. He's constantly going to keep you on his back. Let me show you just a very basic drill. And this will show you, because if you just implement this in rolls after you drill, you're not going to get past step 1. What you need to get really good at is recovering the Williams guard. And what it really looks like in reality is, Timmy knows what we're doing, right? All I'm going to tell Timmy is I want you to try to get back here, okay? And I'm going to tell Timmy to go at 50%, and I'm going to try to be going at like 100% technique. Not 100% strength, but I'm going to be constantly trying to work my angles. Timmy's going like 25 to 50%, just to get me a realistic expectation of what he's going to be trying to do. And if you're Timmy, what Timmy's going to try to do is constantly get his hips in. He wants to stay parallel to you, and he wants to get inside control of his hips here, okay? He doesn't want to be flared out with his hands on the mat, which is what I want. So I'm going to start in the Williams guard because I want you guys to get here with, like, free of service. Like, there's no, it's easy as possible to just get to this position. What is hard is to keep it. What I'm going to show you is I'm not going to use my tricks. I'm going to let Timmy constantly put my shoulder on the mat, but watch how I recover it every time. Let's go ahead. You see how the last position was? So let's go back. What was happening, right? If you can notice and just play that back a little bit, if you're watching online, every time I feel Timmy start to clear this hip, you see how I did that right there? I have to immediately let go. If I hold on to this grip here, this is where I'm going to end up. And this is no bueno, right? All I'm doing, this is great for MMA and self-defense, because if I know that Timmy can't lift this arm out, it means I only have to worry about him punching me with this hand. And in fact, in MMA, Williams guard works 1,000 times better in jiu-jitsu, because if he wants to punch me, it's awesome. Because every time he tries to punch me with this hand, without being able to use this hand to posture up, I know that as soon as he lifts it up, go ahead, I can immediately shift his weight. It's the perfect clinching guard to be off your back in MMA, because you're not going to allow this person to punch you, because he realizes every time he lifts his hand to punch, he's going to get knocked back down to his side. But in jiu-jitsu, we don't have that luxury. So Timmy can just sit here all day. All he's worried about is stacking me back. So as soon as he does that, you have to let go of this grip, okay? You have to let go, and you have to immediately watch my feet. I can plant this foot on the mat, but if I'm really good, as you probably saw in the video of stopping distance, you probably saw this foot on the hip a lot, right? So this foot's on the hip, and I use that to kick Timmy away just a little bit to do this. You see how my elbow comes in? Here. So he squares up to me again. Go ahead. And I don't have this knee in. I get right here. My foot's on the hip. I push him down a little bit, but watch. Even if his hands are here, before I make this move of my knee, you see this elbow? I turn, I come in, and I'm just creating this inside control idea. So now, when I shrimp, you see how I use this elbow to get my knee in, okay? Elbow to knee, come in, here. And then, when you get better at it, instead of getting flattened out like this, go ahead and bring this arm in again, just like you were doing. Instead of doing this every time, let's go and go back. You'll start doing this. Watch this knee now, okay? Go ahead. I get in here. He's letting me. And then as soon as he starts to square to me this time, now watch this knee. Go ahead. You'll do that. That's the next step. So you've gotten this down, but you keep getting flattened out. Go ahead and flatten me out. Yep, and that sucks, right? Go and go back. Now, when you get really good at it, you know your second step is always to bring this knee inside, which is if this knee's on the mat, you're going to be fine. So as he starts coming in, go ahead. My knee comes in, foot in the hip. So now every time he squares his hips to you, go ahead. It's so much easier to extend here, create this angle. And so now we have these options where we can go this way and start going for the omoplata, or we have that first option where we can swing back, give him what he wants, and as he then starts trying to stack me, go ahead. We can go for the flower soup armbar, okay? So those are really your two options. We keep scooting away from him, and we attack the false shoulder, whether it's going for this move, the omoplata, the stockade position, the leg lock attack, or we tell him, okay, you're so good, I can't stop this distance anymore, and you let go, you drop the leg, you let him trap the knee, and then as soon as he comes and puts all of his weight on you and starts squaring up towards you, go ahead, you just go with him, and you kick, and you go for the armbar.